Welcome to On the Chain.
You guys remember CODIUS? You remember that? If you guys have been around the space a while, you'd be like, CODIUS sounds familiar. What the hell is CODIUS? Well, CODIUS is an open hosting protocol. It makes it very easy to upload a program, whether you want to run on hosts or thousands. It's a program loaded, decentralized apps. And really what it was supposed to do, something that David Schwartz has talked a lot about, was supposed to bring smart contracts to the XRPL. So Panos put out a phenomenal, because we heard a lot of conversations coming back around about this. We heard David Schwartz talking about it recently. But Panos put this out, a beautiful thread. CODIUS could be one of the biggest and most important developments in the industry, and it would give a whole new meaning to smart contracts. But most people aren't aware of what CODIUS is and how it works. So time for a thread. This isn't just any thread. This is a Panos thread. Badass Panos. Here we go. And this, what he was commenting on, this David Schwartz tweet, he says, I'm still trying to revive it because somebody asked him about it. The technological pieces were missing, now exist, and I think there's some demonstrated market needs that it can address. I wish I could say more, but it's probably more than I should be sharing. And this was just a couple of days ago that he said that. And this was sort of a back and forth in a long thread. But if he's saying I probably said more than I meant to, it probably means to me that something's in process here, right? And Panos putting out this thread. So when Just Moon, that's Stefan Thomas, joined Ripple, one of his first projects was to build a smart contract system for the XRP ledger. And so by April of 2013, a prototype was ready. And here it is right here, contracts at Ripple runtime, blah, blah, blah. This was committed up to community code on April 5th in 2013. Okay, so I was partially right. It does go back to 2013. This was back in April. Over on GitHub there. And then it said a few months later, there was a young Bitcoin developer that visited San Francisco and was a Ripple intern for a few weeks, staying at Stefan's house. His name was Vitalik Buterin, and the conversations around CODIUS led him to incorporate its key value data structure into Ethereum. So if you think about it, Ethereum and the whole smart contracts platform, you go out first to market. You don't have to be great. You don't have to be best. You just have to be first. And so that first mover advantage certainly had a lot to do with putting Ethereum on the map. And again, it took them a long time to get, even till this day, to get Ethereum where they wanted. But again, it wasn't about that. It was about being first to market and that first mover advantage. And so by the end of 2013, there was a new design for smart contracts. CODIUS worked differently than smart contracts in Ethereum. The contracts run on independent hosts without an underlying blockchain, similar to traditional hosting. And then here's the white paper. So it goes back to 2013. So CODIUS was constructed not as an additional part of the one blockchain network, but as a completely separate element that stands on its own. In addition, since it's not tied to any specific cryptocurrency, it can settle with any currency, including fiat. And that sounds familiar, right? The XRPL, interoperability, doesn't matter if it's fiat, doesn't matter if it's a digital asset. So this is kind of interesting, and it's kind of weird to know and wonder what would have happened, right? Just curious, like how would that have gone down if, for example, we would have seen Ripple be first with smart contracts? Would it have changed anything? Would it have shifted? Would there have been, let's suppose they were first to market and then everybody started building around the Ripple, I'd say the XRP eco-structure. So it's interesting. What if they beat in the market by a year or even a year and a half? It didn't go down that way, but it's interesting to think about. Another major difference is that CODIUS can keep private keys while Ethereum cannot. That means CODIUS can, for example, control a Bitcoin wallet while an Ethereum contract cannot. So CODIUS uses another concept called smart oracles. A smart oracle is anything that can be asked a question and a non-biased answer is returning. One example could be asking the Bitcoin network if a certain transaction happened. Smart contracts that run on CODIUS can hold assets in one or multiple blockchains, such as Bitcoin and XRP. They can collect information from any source connected to the internet. They can be written in standard programming languages. So you kind of just see that there was a lot of advantages when CODIUS was thinking about this in a much bigger way. But again, it didn't matter so much because you had Ethereum beat them to market. But a lot of that had to do with the fact that we're going to see and talk a little bit more about was the fact that it wasn't quite ready. It wasn't ready. There wasn't a lot of the tech that we have today. And David Schwartz basically commented on that, saying, well, back then we wanted to do this and do that and all these things, but the technology wasn't quite there. And so that's why I think reviving CODIUS right now is going to be really key. CODIUS is the application layer for the decentralized web. Programs running on CODIUS can interact with one another, as well as distributed databases such as the XRP ledger and Bitcoin and all their other web services and APIs. So on the left, if you look here, you've got the standard software architecture, which which is your user interface, your application logic and database. And then on CODIUS, you got on the right, which is your client smart programs and your ledger / blockchain. So a little bit update on the traditional. So CODIUS is basically an open hosting protocol and brings a host of its own features to the table, offering flexibility in distribution and development. With Interledger, CODIUS adds flexibility in payments to its feature suite. And then he's basically commenting on David Schwartz's tweet here. It sounds like you have it right. One of the great cases for CODIUS is gateways between blockchains, bridging ILP to blockchains and providing exchange between all assets reaching through the Interledger protocol. So that right there in itself, pretty interesting. It's kind of wild to think about how this could have turned out. But again, the tech wasn't there, and that's why when you saw Ethereum launch, it was just compared to what we're going to see, it's pretty basic on the smart contract, especially when we talk about the keys and what it can control. It's got some basic functionality. And so another benefit of CODIUS is that it gives the choice of programming language back to the user. So rather than having to write software in some strange, multi-purpose languages like Solidity, developers can write contracts in any common language. And I think this would be a big boon to devs out there who don't want to sit there and take on a new language, but again, can write it. They want to write it in Python, whatever language they want to write it in, they can. And it's not exclusive to, oh, no, it's got to be Solidity, which, again, isolates CODIUS from, let's say, like an Ethereum type of a smart contract. And a CODIUS contract can run on an unlimited number of hosts, giving a greater decentralization than any existing blockchain can offer, or it could run on a single host. Each developer can choose the right trade-off between cost and security for their application. But unfortunately, CODIUS was a victim of bad timing, lack of focus. I still believe it has huge potential, says Panos. I would like to see Joel Katz, better known as David Schwartz, leaving Ripple to fully concentrate on building and reviving CODIUS. That's interesting, especially what we heard from David Schwartz. David says, unfortunately, for now, it's a victim of the fact that Ripple can't do everything we might want to do. He did put this tweet out in 2020. If I wasn't working at Ripple, I'd build a business around CODIUS. Now that CODIUS has the means, I wonder if that might be something we might see in the future, if this is just a foreshadowing. CODIUS' approach to smart contracts is unique, and because it's blockchain agnostic, it frees developers from being locked in any specific chain, which is the ultimate holy grail for the next generation of financial and business apps, a solution that could benefit from the whole industry. Don't you think it's pretty interesting that here we are, we're just a little over 4 weeks and a couple of days from Judge Torres's, decision. XRP is not a security. And what do we find out is it seems like there's so much going on right now. There's so much momentum building. And I have a feeling that it would be silly not to revive CODIUS, especially given where we are in the ecosystem as a whole. I just think it would be odd. And honestly, it seems weird. Like CODIUS has got to be revived. And what's the timing on that? I don't know. But again, it does so much. This interoperability, the fact that you don't have to devs don't have to worry about a particular language. They don't have to develop. They don't have to write in any specific type of language like Solidity. They can do whatever they want. I think there's a lot of options here. And it says since it can be any chain, it's the holy grail for the next generation of financial business app solution that could benefit the whole industry. So how do hooks, Evernote, and Flare networks compare? Well, hooks is an on-chain custom code to influence the behavior and flow of transactions. Evernote is a decentralized host network providing consensus as a service with a native token as a payment and currency. And Flare is an EVM-based L1 network, EVM being Ethereum virtual machine. So it's interesting to see this. What are your thoughts on this?
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.